Kanibunan, Ngiopona baningi abebukele bami eSouth Africa. Ngikhuluma isiZulu encane, ngisifunde isiZulu. Ngikhuluma Ingilise manje. So what I try to do is explain American culture to South Africans and try to help y'all understand better what's going on when you kind of see big things happening on that stage. And just one of the entertainment aspects that I've been talking about recently is this recent Iceman release, but also I want to kind of tap into what I'm trying to realize is that Kendrick may be like, seeing in the future like a prophetic type of he has these prophetic type of things that happens often. And one of the things that I saw that happen was he released his first diss track, and the name of the diss track was Euphoria. You may have remembered that song. But that song is also the name of a series that's happening that is currently going on right now. And it's starring Zendaya, and she's like, a star actress in America. But this series of Euphoria is executive produced by Drake. And within the series, the first two seasons was kind of primarily set in high school. And it was like these young girls just living the regular high school life, but there's like, drugs involved. On a minimal scale, there's drugs involved. That's like, the girls that are more like having catty situations with each other and disputes. But now on the third season, it's kind of elevated to more of, heavy drugs and heavy prostitution, but in a modern form, like not prostitution on the street as much, but it's more so in the aspect of like OnlyFans and the industry's way of, grooming these young girls into becoming, stars in that world. So what I think is happening here, like, is that, Kendrick released Euphoria until 2024. So this season wasn't out. But now that I'm seeing this third season of Euphoria, there's this character, his name is Alamo Brown. And he resembles a main influence that I see in the origins of Drake's becoming, and that's a CEO named Jay Prince. So Jay Prince is the owner of Rap A Lot Records. It's in Houston, and he has basically put on artists such as the Ghetto Boys. As a primary artist named Scarface that was a big artist in that label. But he's somebody that just on the independent tip, he didn't really, just get along with the industry. He more so set up his own infrastructure, and he runs it primarily in Houston. And this is kind of what his son, Jay Prince Jr., was able to discover Drake, and they partnered with Cash Money with Lil Wayne to kind of put Drake on. So Drake came from Toronto, and now he was a part of this whole Houston conglomerate. And this is what I'm kind of seeing is the influence of what this world that, Drake is a part of now. And what Kendrick is pointing out that, he kind of alluded to in this Euphoria song is that it's a culture of, strip club culture. It's like, but it's also in the aspect of grooming these young girls to be misled into this world. And it's not necessarily misled because it's on the girls as well. It's a hustle. It's not nothing that I'm looking down on. It's a capitalistic society in America. So there is a lot of just opportunities in, sex. There's opportunities in drugs and there's stuff like that. And you just see that this isn't the real Drake that we know from Degrassi or, I wasn't watching Degrassi, but I just know that Drake comes from a different background than what he portrays in this Houston background. And I think this influence of Jay Prince is very heavily what he's trying to present now. Because you can see in the Iceman release, they had a whole set of videos for like every song. And there's certain songs, plot twists. There's another song called Little Birdie. And in these songs, he's portraying basically, a lot of weaponry, a lot of prostitution. And it's like on a Texas type of cowboy, big belt buckle, a lot of ammo. And he's on the ranch with horses. And this isn't a setting that's primarily in Toronto. It's more so this Texas culture. And at the end of the video as well, plot twist, you can see he's at this famous gas station called Bucky's. And yeah, like all of those elements you may miss if you're not like just culturally aware of what's going on in those areas. So what I'm alluding to is that Drake is, portraying this lifestyle, but Kendrick sees kind of through it and sees that, it is only being used for him to kind of glorify something that is misleading these young women. And he's kind of pointing out that in the Euphoria song, in the Not Like Us song, where he's just calling out the, his like of these young girls and how he's luring them into a world that they may not be, primarily best for them. And what the third season of Euphoria is kind of showing is a really peek into that lifestyle. So it's just like, how did Kendrick know to call this Euphoria and that this third season in 2026 will come out and it's showing this character named Alamo, and Alamo resembles Jay Prince like very much, and it's the same type of lifestyle of he's a Texas ranch. I don't know if it's Texas, but he has a ranch and he's like also a mob boss, and his mob boss ties to drugs, it ties to the strip club culture, and it all goes hand in hand to grooming. And then they tie in the young girls. Rue, who's played by Zendaya, is basically being the pimp for these girls, and they have the character Maddie that's elevating them from basically becoming a stripper into becoming the OnlyFans model. And it's also the other aspect of it is that Maddie is also turning those girls that are innocent in the high school world and giving them kind of access to the OnlyFans world through basically celebrity culture. So it's like they're just tying all this stuff together beautifully in this third season of Euphoria, and it's portraying a lot of what I feel like Kendrick was alluding to in this Euphoria track. And the whole this regardless. So I just think it's funny that he was able to predict that in a way, and then it's being portrayed in his third season. So I don't know if many of you are familiar with his third season, but yeah, it'll give more of an insight of what this lifestyle is in America that is tied with these young girls that are in high school and they're not too far away from after high school choosing a lifestyle that may be, what is the typical lifestyle, but there's also the opportunity, especially today, to just branch off into a whole different, more explicit and lifestyle. And the music influence kind of predicts or dictates what direction these women are going to go in. And I feel like Kendrick is alluding that Drake is luring them with his celebrity to come into that world where there's, you get to have the lifestyle of celebrityism, you get to have the, goods and the pleasures of it all, and to be around the money, be around the good designer clothes, be around the lifestyle that is portrayed. But there's also this other underworld of it, drugs, prostitution, a lot of just selling your body, using your body as a way to make money, and using your looks. And the younger girls are, I guess, being groomed to become that. And Kendrick is kind of like showing that that's not what we need as a direction forward for these young women. So yeah, this is kind of just interesting in how it's kind of like a chess game that's being played. And I don't know if the script was being passed around that he knew that this season, or he could have saw it in the first two seasons, that this is kind of something that Drake is backing, and it's more of his influence that is just kind of portraying something for these young women to believe in. And yeah, it's very interesting to see how you can utilize a lot of what somebody is promoting against them. And that was one of the biggest hits that Drake took, was just that whole label and his whole world that he built that kind of worked against them in this battle. At least I don't know going forward, because America is still America. It's not going to like die down any of this culture. And I don't necessarily applaud or want to shame any of it. This is a capitalistic culture in America. It's like people have to adapt and adopt what they are seeing as the way to move forward. But you got to have some morality, some principle, and people may call you out on it. And that's kind of like what I feel like Kendrick was doing, was just calling out Drake on this lifestyle that he's portraying that's not necessarily originated in him, and it's more so originated in what they're pointing to. I mean, it's not so much saying, but I'm seeing the connections of this Jay Prince influence. Again, Jay Prince's son is the one that discovered Drake and partnered with Lil Wayne to be able to put him on his platform and make him as big as he was. And then he was kind of in this fold of this mob ties aspect. Mob ties is basically like they are portraying a mafia type of lifestyle. And now you can see Drake in his videos right now and his whole demeanor right now. Since I think the Scorpion album, he's been putting on this portrayal of like a mob boss. And right now it's like even more, he's doubling down on that because he feels attacked, and now he's like trying to go independent. And I was even speaking about this recently, about how he's about to start a revolution. But if this is the foundation of his revolution, I understand the aspect of it connecting to Jay Prince. And Jay Prince was like a, more on along the sides of an independent type of influence. So I can understand where he's getting this mindset from. But now I'm just questioning, okay, is that what you're baked in, and that's what you're going to now portray? And is that going to be the foundation of your revolutionary movement? So this season is just giving me some deeper insight on it. So I don't know if you guys want to check it out. It's it's the third season now. You don't necessarily have to watch the first two seasons to watch this season, and it'll give you some insight towards the background of what Kendrick is trying to attack in his last three discs in 2024. So yeah, I want you to like just check that out, and then we can discuss it more. And just let me know if you guys are connecting the dots how I am, because it's very interesting, like the Kendrick side of being able to see it and be able to have something that come out in the future that double downs on his message. And then for Drake to also continue to double down on it with his videos that he just now released on the Iceman playlist. So yeah, I think it's all very interesting. And I think from a South African viewpoint, you may not be able to digest it without getting all these cultural references. And that's what I'm here for.